Good day, everyone, and our topic for this day is about sketching hyperbola. Equations of hyperbola. In this table, it shows different cases or conditions ng graph ng hyperbola. We have the center 0, 0 and h, k. For the transverse axis, we have the x-axis and y-axis, and meron din transverse axis na parallel sa x-axis and y-axis. Okay, so yung projection yan is horizontal or vertical. For the general form, as you can see, all the terms are placed on one side of the equation and then the other side is 0. We have two terms for the general form. We have ax squared and cy squared. So, as you can see, yung dalawang terms na yan ay present sa ating general form. So, yung dalawang terms yan have different signs. Yung isa is positive and then the other one is negative. And whatever the positive is, siya ang inalagay natin sa first term, followed by negative term. And then the other side is 0. In standard form, it is very convenient for us to use. It is because the transverse axis, the value of a and b are present in this form of equation. We will use a to determine the transverse axis. And to determine the a squared or the value of a in the standard form of equation, lagi natin titingnan yung positive term ng fractions. In standard form, we have two fractions and yung first term is a positive and then yung second term is a negative. Again, yung a squared ay makukuha mo sa denominator ng positive fraction. Okay, and then the right side of the equation is 1. As you can see in the first standard form, we have x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared equals 1. The first fraction is x squared, which is positive, over a squared. But every denominator is, siya ay magsisilbing a squared. And kung ano ang variable dun sa numerator na yon ay magsisilbing transverse axis ng hyperbola. Okay, ganun din dito sa last standard form. Okay, we have quantity y minus k squared over a squared minus quantity x minus h squared over b squared equals 1. The positive term or the positive fraction here is quantity y minus k then squared over a squared. So, ibig sabihin, ang ating transverse axis ay naka y-axis and whatever the denominator is, yun ang ating magiging transverse axis. Okay, so let us recall the parts of the hyperbola using this figure. A is the distance from the center, this is the center, to the vertex of the hyperbola. Okay, so A here is this. Okay, itong line na ito, yung distance na ito. Okay, B is the distance from the center to an endpoint of the conjugate axis. So again, from the center to one of the co-vertex. Okay, so that is B. Okay, so this is A and then this is B. And for our C is focal distance. The distance between the focus. Okay, so ito yung focus natin and the center. So we are going to represent the distance of this as C. Okay, so the relationship between the three distances is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which is gagamitin natin mamaya. Okay, the equation of the asymptotes. Okay, when we say asymptotes, those are the lines that are approaching to our hyperbola. So, if the center is at 0, 0, we are going to have the equation y is equal to positive and negative bx over a. B over a is representing the slope of the asymptotes. And for the center, the h, k, the equations of the asymptotes are y is equal to k plus and minus b over a times the quantity of x minus h. Okay, so this formula na mamaya gagamitin natin sa pag-graph. So for us to understand this, let us have our first example. Sketch and discuss x over 4 minus y squared over 9 equals 1. So in here, let us identify the principal axis. Since the term x squared over 4 is the positive one, therefore the principal axis is on x-axis. Okay, and then let us identify the values of a, b, and c. Below ng x squared is yung value ng a squared. Okay? So, therefore, a squared is equal to 4. If a squared equals 4, then a is 2. And then the remaining denominator, b squared is equal to 9. So, b squared is equal to 9, so b is 3. And to get the value of c, so c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. And we have 4 plus 9, it is equal to 13. So, c is square root of 13, or 3.61 units. So, A is 2 units, B is 3 units, and C is 3.61 units. Obviously, for the center, we have 0, 0. Okay, to get the vertices, co-vertices, and foci, okay, plot natin itong center. So, center is 0, 0, and then we have to count 2 units parallel sa x-axis. So, to the left and to the right. So, we have 1 and 2. So, this is the V sub 1. 1 and 2, this is the V sub 2. Okay. So, next is the co-vertices. Bilang tayo ng 3 units naman, perpendicular naman sa ating vertices. So, upward and downward. So, 1, 2, 3. So, this is the co-V sub 1. 1, 2, 3. So, this is the co-V sub 2. Next, for the foci, we are going to use the value of C is 3.61 units. And dapat yun ay kahilera ng ating vertices na nasa principal axis. So, we have to count 3.61. 1, 2, 3, and 0.61. Okay, this is the F sub 1. And 1, 2, 3, and 0.61, that is the F sub 2. For the vertices, we have 2, 0, and we have negative 2, 0. For the co-vertices, so we have 0, 3, and negative, and 0, negative 3. For the foci, since tayo ay nasa x-axis, therefore we have 3.61, 0, and negative 3.61, 0. Okay, so we have the vertices, co-vertices, and foci. Then next, we have the Lattice Rectum. We have b squared over a. So, b squared is equal to 9 over a is 2. 9 over 2, that is 4.5 units. So, for our Lattice Rectum, we have 4.5 units. So, we have 4.5 units na kahilera ng ating foci. So, in here, bilang tayo na perpendicular sa principal axis. So, in here, 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Okay, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Okay, and then for the second focus, ganun din, 1, 2, 3, 4.5. And 1, 2, 3, 4.5. So, mamaya idudugtong natin itong endpoints ng Lattice Rectum dito sa ating vertices. So, and then, the length of the transverse axis, we have 4 units. Times 2 lang natin itong A. Okay, length of the conjugate axis, 3 times 2, that is 6 units. Okay, and then the equation of the asymptote, since ang center ng ating hyperbola is 0, 0, we are going to use y is equal to positive and negative b over ax. So, in here, we have y is equal to positive and negative 3 over 2x, wherein the slope is 3 over 2. So, gagamitin natin yung equation of the asymptotes para makapag-draw ng tinatawag natin na auxiliary rectangle. So, gagawa muna tayo ng auxiliary rectangle na imaginary line wherein nandun yung co-vertex and yung vertex. Okay, so as you can see, in this figure, nagdo-drawing ako ng isang rectangle. Okay, wherein nandun ang ating co-vertices and vertices. So, ito yung points natin. Okay, ito yung guide natin sa paggawa ng auxiliary rectangle. Again, this is called auxiliary rectangle. Okay, next, mag-draw tayo ng asymptotes. Sa asymptotes, gagamitin natin yung slope na 3/2. So, mula sa center, bilang tayo ng 3 units upward or downward. Tapos, bilang tayo ng to the left and to the right. So, 1, 2, 3. So, ito yung mga points natin. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 para sa slope. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, then ganun din sa baba. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, so pagtutugtog-tugtugin natin yung ating points para sa ating asymptotes. Again, this is an imaginary lines. Okay, so ganun din sa kabila. So, yung vertices ng ating rectangle, okay, so dapat mag-cross siya at dadaan sa center. Okay, so dapat hindi rin natin matatamaan dito yung ating lattice rectum. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, so in here. Okay, and so on. So, the equation of the asymptotes for this line, y is equal to negative 3/2x, and then dito naman, y is equal to positive 3/2x. So, kapag na-drawing na natin auxiliary rectangle and yung mga asymptotes, ito-drawing na natin yung hyperbola. Okay, so to draw the hyperbola, we are going to have the vertex and the endpoints of the lattice rectum. So, we have to connect those points. Okay, so dapat smooth ang ating hyperbola. Okay, and then papalapit siya ng papalapit sa ating asymptotes pero hindi magdidikit. Okay, sobrang lapit niya sa asymptotes pero hindi magdidikit. So, tapos na tayo sa isang part and then dito na sa part na ito. Okay, so smooth dapat and dadaan dapat sa ating point sa plinat natin kanina. Okay. And malapit siya sa ating asymptotes. So, yung red line na yan, that is the hyperbola of the given equation. So, yung mas maayos na graph is ito. Okay, so the graph of the hyperbola, x squared over 4 minus y squared over 9 equals 1 is this. Example number 2. Sketch and discuss quantity y plus 3 squared over 16 minus the quantity of x minus 4 squared equals 1. So, in here, let us identify the principal axis. In here, the principal axis is y-axis. Since this term is the positive one. Okay, so a squared is equal to 16. Okay, and then b squared is equal to, since wala tayong denominator dyan, automatic yan ay over 1. So, b squared equals 1. And c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. So, we will have 16 plus 1 equals 17. And to get a, if a squared equals 16, then a is 4, b squared is 1, so b is 1, and c squared is equal to 17, therefore c is square root of 17 or 4.12 units. Okay, and then for the center, kunin natin h, k. So, this is h and this is k. Katabi ng variable x and y. So, we have 4, negative 3. Okay, para makuha ang vertices, co-vertices, and foci, plot natin itong mga points na ito. From the center, 4, negative 3. Okay, so this is our center. Count 4 units parallel to y-axis. Therefore, we have to count 4 units upward and downward. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, this is the v sub 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, this is the v sub 2. Okay. So, the coordinates of the vertices are 4, 1, and we have 4, negative 7. Next, we have the co-vertices. We are going to count 1 unit to the left and to the right. So, this is points of the co-vertex, co-v sub 1, and co-v sub 2. Okay? So, the foci, we have 4.12. So, kahilera ng ating vertices. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 0.12. Okay, so this is the F sub 1. So, yung difference ng vertex dun sa ating focus is 0.12. So, ganun din dito sa baba. Okay, so we are going to put F sub 2. And the coordinates of co-vertices are, we have 3, negative 3, and we have 5, negative 3. For the foci, magkalapit lang siya sa ating vertices. So, we have 4, 1.12, and we have 4, negative 7.12. For the lattice rectum, again, we're going to use the b squared over a. B squared is 1 over a is 4. So, 1/4 is equal to 0.25 units. So, ibig sabihin, magbibilang tayo ng 0.25 units perpendicular sa ating principal axis. So, this, tingnan yung aking pointer. So, nandito yung 0.25 and dito rin yung 0.25. So, dito rin sa baba, dito rin yung 0.25 and nandito rin yung 0.25. So, kung lalakihan natin yan, okay? So, andito yung ating endpoints of the lattice rectum and ganun din dito sa kabila. Wherein nasa gitna is yung nasa foci. Okay, and then length of the transverse axis, we have 4 times 2 is equal to 8 units. Length of the conjugate axis, that is 1 times 2 is equal to 2 units. Okay, dodoblehin mo lang yung A and B. For the equation of the asymptotes, since ang center natin ay nasa h, k, hindi sa origin, so we are going to use y is equal to k plus and minus b over a times the quantity of x minus h. So, it is equal to negative 3 plus and minus b is 1 over a is 4 times the quantity of x minus 4. Okay, and then ang slope natin is 1/4. So, after na ma-fill up natin yan ulit, ay kailangan nating i-draw ang auxiliary rectangle wherein nandun yung vertex and yung co-vertices. So, ito yung ating auxiliary rectangle. Okay? Okay, so itong line na to, na-form, or yung figure natin dito ay imaginary lines. And, i-draw natin asymptotes. Okay, wherein nandito yung gagamitin natin yung mga vertices ng rectangle. So, gagamitin yung slope 1/4 from the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1. Kasi 1/4 tayo. Okay, then ganun din sa pababa. Okay, so kapag meron tayong ganyan, i-connect lang natin yung ating mga points na dadaan sa vertices ng rectangle at ng ating center. So, ganun din sa kabila. Yan. Okay, so gagawa tayo ng lines dyan. Ang equation for the asymptotes, ito ay y is equal to negative 3. Since pataas tayo, plus 1/4 of x minus 4. And then, dito yung equation naman sa kabila, y is equal to negative 3. Then, minus 1/4 of x minus 4. So, kapag na-draw na natin yan, i-drawing na po natin yung ating mismong hyperbola. Okay, so to graph the hyperbola, again, gagamitin natin yung vertices and yung endpoints ng lattice rectum. And dapat yung line natin sa hyperbola ay lalapit dito sa ating asymptotes pero hindi magdidikit. So, smooth lang yung ating graph. Okay. Okay, so this is the first part and then the other part is pababa. Upward and downward tayo kasi ang principal axis natin is y. Okay, so ito po. Okay, so dapat yung ating hyperbola ay hindi tatama sa ating asymptotes. So, those red lines are the lines for the hyperbola. So, sa maayos na graph, ganito po ang itsura ng quantity y plus 3 squared over 16 minus quantity of x minus 4 squared equals 1.